Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, Pick Guardian.
Garrett Brandon Wong Pickups.
Hey, it's me, Todd Novak. Glad to have you with us. I am very excited to be here talking into the microphone to everyone out there. Stop making gestures at me, Tony. Hey, we got somebody on the line.
All right.
Kevin Equitz of Equitz Guitars.
Hooray for this. I am excited. Kevin, you make some fine guitars, my man.
Oh, thank you so much.
You are welcome. We're going to get into his fine guitar making and all of the things that that tickle his toenails when it comes to guitars and influence and all that business in our main interview today. We've got a couple things that we, as per usual, need to cruise through really quick. I want to make a special request. We just opened up our YouTube page for the world. And right now it is all episodes. So you can listen to our full episodes, the entire library on YouTube under the Guitar Knobs podcast. And I think if you go there and you subscribe, I'll be super happy.
Yeah.
And even if you like a few, I wouldn't be pissed about that either. Oh, and if you put in the Guitar Knobs, we don't come up right away because we just got on. But don't worry, scroll just a little bit and you'll see the old familiar logo. Also, we have loads of people listening all over the world. And I'm not saying that. I'm not making up. That's actual factual stuff. And I would very much like to hear from you. We get comments from people all over the United States, of course, and also in a few other countries, which is great. But I know there's a lot more people in a lot more countries, and I really do want to hear from you. So even if it's just to say hi, I'm here. Like Horton Hears a Who. I'll be Horton.
If you go on the social and you scroll down, you'll see a lot of the country colored flag pictures that you make.
Breathe.
I had to clear my throat, and I was trying to get it all out before I cleared it. So
Nicely done.
go on the social and scroll down, and you'll see the flags that Tony, or that I'm sorry that Todd
I got
puts
you all
on.
flustered.
Tony,
Right.
Todd. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a good time.
Yeah, man.
Get involved on the social, people.
Yeah, we love it. We love it. All right, so that's it. Let's just go. Oh, all right, Tony.
Here it is.
The other day, I was chatting with a fairly well-known guitarist that I know who has listened to...
Should I go take a bathroom break right now?
No. No, you'll want to hear this.
Okay.
Don't
excellent.
interrupt him anymore. I want to hear this.
Okay.
Please. I'm just setting the scene here.
All right.
Candlelight, talking, chatting. Very nice. Very comfortable.
Kevin, if you need to take a bathroom break, that might be a good idea.
So we're chatting, and this near celebrity, I cannot mention, due to
You mean near you or almost a celebrity?
both,
Okay.
said, I've listened to a couple of the episodes, and I really dig, and that's the word in quotation marks. I'll use quotation marks. Dig what you're doing.
Nice.
I said, it's funny you should mention that because we've got a great way that people like you and other people who aren't near celebrities or near me could help out. And it's this little thing called Patreon. It's super, super simple, as I explained. You go to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs, and you can donate money to help podcasts, if you will,
You get stuff
like this happen.
yeah.
You get stuff at different levels. And Jared, what is it that people also get?
Well, if you're an executive producer, you get your name said on the thing.
Wow. You get your name said on the thing. So just imagine your name being said on the thing.
On the Guitar Knobs
So
podcast.
anyhow, we take there's all levels. You can go there and explore on Patreon. Do what you can. It lets us know that you appreciate us, the things that we do. We really enjoy
Was
doing
it Earl
this.
Slick?
What's that?
Was it Earl Slick?
I'm not telling.
It was Earl
Cannot
Slick,
tell.
wasn't it?
I don't know.
I can't tell. I cannot reveal all my sources. So anyhow, help as you can. Get some really cool stuff, different levels.
Yeah.
Get your name read on the thing. And it's really cool. And it lets us know you are listening and love what we're doing. Again, that's patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs.
And I'm starting to memorize the names that are read every episode too. So
Is that you're using your flannel like a little blankie right now? Is that?
it kind of looks like one too. I like it. It makes me feel comfortable. If
I have gotten a lot of comments on the latest episode. I did the Nana Boo Boo song. Oh my gosh, hilarious! Kevin, are you still there, my friend?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank goodness.
all right.
He hasn't given up yet.
Tony, good job, buddy.
Thank you. I tried to keep it brief and yet
Yes,
personal.
keep your briefs on.
I liked it.
All right, what are we doing in the world today? In the guitar world, in the world of guitar, Kevin, let's hear from you, man.
Sure. Well, my projects are in batches. So right now I'm working on 4 guitars, and they're all in the finish stage. So I've been doing a lot of wet sanding right now. After the wet sanding, I hit it, one more final coat, and then buff them out, go on to assembly.
Nice.
Let me ask you this. Have you ever launched a guitar on a buffer?
If I had a pedestal buffer, it probably would happen. Yeah.
Okay. It's quite a feeling.
I feel like
You should.
yeah.
I think if nothing else, you should buy a pedestal buffer just for that.
Yeah.
Somebody once called it a rapid guitar relocation device.
I like it.
That's hilarious. And for those who don't know what a pedestal buffer is, and are about to,
Imagine
the car in front of you.
buffing wheels on the outside of this
it's a pole.
motor.
It's a pole with a motor and 2 spinning wheels. All right, excellent. That's cool. New guitars coming out. Dig it.
All different models, or are they? Or do you batch?
2 of one model, and then a couple of different ones beyond that.
Cool.
Yeah.
While we're still on that topic, and we don't want to give away the farm right now.
Sure.
Really sure where that comes from. I love etymology. I'm gonna have to look that up later. I'm curious when people do guitars and they're like, I'm gonna do one of each model in red. Is that how they do it? You know what I mean? Or is it I'm going to do one of each model in 3 different colors? Like, is there an efficiency to be found there? I'm not really sure.
Well, if your paint gun's loaded,
Yeah.
it's a
I
hell
guess
of a lot
so.
easier to do one
Yeah.
color.
I guess these ones are all plaid today.
It's a good point. Well,
Earl Shad.
They might
Yeah.
have multiple paint guns though.
Well, that's true.
Yeah, probably. Jared, what are you doing?
Well, 2 weeks ago, we went to Chicago. We went to that guitar show, guitar thing, the swap, and a good buddy of mine that was a table next to me named Todd told me, Jared, you got to get one of those pedal boards over there. Oh my gosh, it's a steal. I'm like, yeah, well, and then you were like,
Reluctant.
What are you talking about? Get the thing. It's inexpensive. Are you crazy if you don't? So I got the pedal board.
And I will let me interrupt just briefly, because Todd does truly enjoy spending other people's money.
I really do.
Well, you know what? I took a chance. I said, yeah, what the hell? Anyway, I bought the pedal board, and right now I'm trying to decide exactly what pedals I want on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then
That was a giant pedal board, as I
it's
remember.
pretty daggone big.
They would hold that Morley and one other, probably.
That's why I told him.
So I got several amps in my basement, and some of them have pedals for the amps.
It's a temple board, by the way. Like, just so we can clarify, it's a temple board, and it's I think it's a 30-inch.
Yeah,
It's big.
It's huge.
It's big. $50.
Yeah. My friends came over the other day and said, "What'd you get for this?" I said, $50. What? That's a steal. So you're really good about it, man. So thank you, Todd.
You're welcome. I try to help people out.
So I'm trying to figure out exactly what pedals I want to put on this thing. So
How about all of your pedals? Because they'll fit.
the small ones, yeah, but
Maybe you should get an amp board.
right. Well, all these pedals, I have all these other pedals that are to my amps, and like, do I put those on the board?
I should probably end up selling you my my One Spot 7 too. Oh, you got the 12, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh,
I got
never
plenty.
mind. Okay.
So yeah, one of these days I'll have Todd over at the place, or Tony or whoever's, probably Todd because he's a pedal. You're a pedal maniac, man.
I love them.
I'll help you, or I'll have
love
you
it.
help me set this thing up, man.
Yeah, man.
We're looking forward
I
to
think
that.
I'm going to come over next week. Excellent.
Awesome.
Good news. Tony,
I am here.
yes. What have you been up to this week, my friend?
Well, this week was it was interesting. We had to go up to Kalamazoo, Michigan.
You have visions of Paul Harvey dancing in your head, don't you? All the time.
Page 2. We went up. It was under. We had to go. Didn't have to go. We went
for you to say.
We went to a friend of ours' memorial service in Kalamazoo.
Uh-oh.
So while we were there, I said, I'm gonna check out what's left of the Gibson factory. Part of it is now Heritage Guitars, and I was somewhat dismayed, but enticed by the concept. I was looking for a
Of
giant
Heritage Guitars?
No,
Oh,
just the factory.
yeah.
The landmark was this 70-foot smokestack that said Gibson
Right.
in white bricks on the way down.
Right.
Well, when I got to the factory
burn all
on
their
Parsons
seconds.
Street, it just said ON.
Right.
So I said,
It was just years ago they took that down, right?
well, maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
So the story goes, there's the landlord that owns that property was concerned that the thing was going to topple over,
yeah.
and they were just going to tear it down. Well, another group got together, and it was called Save the Stack, Kalamazoo.com, and they're actually raising money to rebuild. First, they had to take it down, and then they're rebuilding the smokestack again.
Did they actually raise that money?
I think they're probably better than halfway there. I did check it out there. They really didn't say what their progress is. They had enough to put the O and the N on.
I tell you what, I am a bricklayer by trade. I would love to go up there and ask him if I can lay a couple brick on that stack. That would be pretty cool.
I'm curious. Like, I get it. Like, it says Gibson.
Right.
But now it's the Heritage place.
Correct.
And Gibson is now leaving their Memphis home.
Yes.
So I'm just curious. I'm not knocking anybody's sentimentality. I'm a sentimental fool.
But it'd be cheaper.
But I'm trying to figure out, like, that's a lot of money to put up, to re-erect a monument to a company that left.
Yeah.
I don't understand that.
And I
personally.
totally get that. And when you texted me that, I said, that really does kind of make sense.
It's not a knock on anybody's, like, I get it. Like, I get why people want things around. I really do. I'm just trying to sort it out in my head.
It's cheaper to say, have it say Gibson than Heritage.
Well, the other thing that really disappointed me, in addition to only seeing an O and an N on the smokestack, is the building itself is in just horrible condition. I mean, broken windows, and there's so much history in that that happened there. I mean, that Gibson moved there in the early 1900s, probably turn of the century, and it ran it really through the 80s.
Yep.
And now it's sad that it's that way. Now hopefully they'll be able to do something. Heritage has been there for, I guess, since Gibson left.
We just saw a Heritage for the first time. I saw a Heritage for the first time at the gear swap.
Oh yeah.
A woman came up and wanted to.
The Les Pauli one.
Yeah, so she brought that up and showed it to us, and it was a super nice guitar.
They're great instruments.
Yeah, I saw an
wonderful.
ES335 style Heritage at a wedding I went to.
Yeah.
Kevin, have you handled any Equitzes or anything? I mean,
Every day.
He makes them.
Never touched one. No, I don't know. I hear they're okay.
yeah. Have you handled any Heritages?
Nothing that rings a bell. No.
Okay.
I might have.
I've played a couple. They're a Les Paul one similar to that. Some of the jazz boxes that they make are just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, aside from the pickguard and the name, they're pretty much
It
dead
is
on.
one of those kind of things where you pick it up and you're like, this is a really well-made thing.
Yeah.
Like, if you like it or not, you can at least say that.
I mean, I love the fact that I own, I think, around 4 or more guitars that are from the Kalamazoo factory.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So there you go. So that was my week. I mean, I'm in addition to other things, but that was last weekend actually, and it was interesting. And I hope that they get the smokestack rebuilt so that the next time I go to Kalamazoo, I can see a full stack.
Right.
That's right.
Okay.
I want to lay some brick on it.
Okay. Well, you keep us updated on that. Anyway.
How about with you, Todd? What's been going on?
I messed around with the exotic EP booster that I've always wanted to try, and Tony had one laying around. I was at a shop, and I said, ooh, let me try that out. Holy big flammel.
There it is.
Wow.
Man, I could not believe how much power was in that little tiny pedal.
It's crazy.
I thought it was just going to like boost the signal a little bit to give it some hair. I kid you not, it added 5 or 6 ticks on the dial. Like I had my amp set at 2, okay? I turned on the pedal, and just for fun, you know, I dimed it. And I was like,
You always have to
dang
dime
near
a
like,
pedal.
yeah. I mean, it was like Marty from
Right.
Back to the Future. I
Right.
could not believe how much power that added to my amp. So I was like, when on earth would I need this pedal? But
All
then
the
I
time.
realized, then I started adjusting things. I was like, okay, cool. The thing that everybody says about that pedal is it adds a certain something. It isn't just more power, and I believe that is true.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I like it.
if you do it at unity gain, so you know, basically the signal going in, signal coming out is about the same level. It's
Which is
still,
actually, it's like at almost nothing if you do that.
yeah, it's probably at
2
7
or
o'clock.
3, 7 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's just barely up.
Yeah.
It just does some really nice stuff.
Yeah,
And
it did add an extra dynamic, which I really did like. You know what it's like? It's almost like an EQ, just a slight enhancement on your EQ.
Yeah.
That's what I found it to be.
Well, I mean, it's supposedly based on the circuitry of an old Echoplex.
Echoplex, right?
And you know, there's a lot of
The
players,
old ones, not
like-
the new ones.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know, it's interesting. We were talking about that last week, and the most sought after Echoplexes are actually the solid state ones, not the tube ones.
Resting.
And because the solid state ones actually sound better.
Okay, thanks.
As a matter of fact.
So, anyways, yeah, that was my week, and I had a lot of fun making a bunch of racket, and I have the pedal in the bag to show you. 1, 2, 3, 4 on the floor. Kevin, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
Okay, so the first one, and granted, keep in mind here that, you know, all this time I've been a guitar guy, so the pedal thing is a little new to me, honestly. For a long time, I was kind of a plug straight in type of person, but through building guitars, I've been able to make some really good friends that are also pedal builders, and I've gotten some as gifts from other people. So yeah, I'm slowly building a collection over here, and it's been kind of fun. I'm having a good time. So if I had to narrow it down, which is really difficult, but if I had to narrow it down to most essential, the first one that I would start with, and this is, you know, we're assuming tuner, you know, do a headstock or whatever, like, you know, I'm not going to say a tuner pedal.
Tuner
first.
aside, what do you got?
Yeah, come on. That's like the coefficient one. It's just understood. Right. So the first one I would say is it was a collaboration, Pelican Noise Works with another podcast, 60 Cycle Hum. And it's a dual drive. It's essentially like the DoD 250 preamp, but stacked side by side. So it's a dual pedal. They call it the 50-50, and the art on it is kind of modeled after the 50-50 ice cream bar.
Yeah. Which
And,
also looks like
so-
a certain podcast that I'm aware of.
There's an orange theme there. Yeah.
Halloween colors.
Yeah. Also, the pedal show has a very similar colored one as well.
Well, I'll be a blue nose gopher.
Yeah. I don't know what that means. Go ahead.
But so Leon from Pelican Noise Works, he's a friend of mine. We've been doing some cool collaborations, which I'll mention on the next pedal. But this one was cool for me because, like I said, being mostly kind of just an amp person, it's nice having the stages of drive. So you can set one of them kind of light, and then you can set the other one to be, heavy, and you could turn them both on. So it's great. There are like light and dark kind of settings for each of them, and it's a real simple pedal. Like for me, simple is great. I don't need like a ton of switches and a ton of dials to really tune things in.
Right.
It's enough to like even remember to change pickups as far as I'm concerned. So the less I need to think about with the pedals is great. So I kind of have it set up just like gears, like some dirt, more dirt, and then you click them both on, and it's a lot of dirt. So
right.
That's been a lot of fun, and that's like a real like definite go-to for me. The next one is also from Pelican Noiseworks, and are you all familiar with the Pelotar?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so he and myself and another friend of ours, we had collaborated on a project of building a guitar with a fuzz circuit built into it. Other companies had done it in the past, but we just thought it'd be fun to have a Pelican Noiseworks fuzz circuit, built into the guitar. And so he took half of his Pelotar and basically made a prototype pedal out of it for this project. And he ended up really liking that prototype pedal and released it as what's called the half horse, and as in half of the Pelotar. Mm-hmm. So it is a really great fuzz pedal. It's got one big gigantic knob for the gain control, which on the pedal is listed as grain. And it's got a lot of range in the fuzz, and fuzz is another thing that's been fairly new to me. So it's nice is it has a good spectrum from like that real kind of gated sound to the big, full, rich, classic fuzz. And so that's been a lot of fun for me too.
I feel like people are either reverb guys or fuzz guys. I don't feel like they're both. I could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. But
go ahead.
I feel like that's an observation that I've been sort of collecting as of late, except for the guys who are building them, obviously. But it's just an interesting thing.
For sure. And, quite honestly, the reverb, like my amp is a Blues Junior, mostly because of the reverb, and, it's a low watt, just simple amp. And so when I started playing electric guitar, I was all about like instrumental surf music and some rockabilly and stuff like that. So good reverb is essential. And so I really like the reverb on the amp.
And you put that in the, hang on a second. I'm trying to, that was in the Rayburn, right? You put that in the Rayburn guitar?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
And that's two of the four guitars that I mentioned are two more of those fuzz Rayburns. We're doing just a limited run. We're going to do 7 of them.
That's really cool. Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar with Daimel, Frank Daimel in Germany. He has a circuit that he's developed, a proprietary circuit that mimics a Leslie speaker cabinet,
right,
in the guitar, which is flipping cool, man.
I mean, that's really what it is. It's about, just kind of having something there for fun.
Yeah.
When we started throwing the idea around, because, Vox, it had been done before.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's loads of guitars with stuff in there. Yeah.
And so when we were talking about it, originally, my friend Coach Schneider and we were talking about it, and he's the one who kind of brought Leon into the project because, in my mind, it was like, well, we got to make sure that it's a really, really good fuzz. This can't just be a gimmick. Like, it's got to be useful effect. And it is. I mean, that guitar is so much fun to play. And we were having a lot of fun. We were at an amp show. And so we were demoing amps. And, without telling anybody, we were trying it clean. And then we would flip that fuzz switch over and everyone would get very confused. But we got a lot of compliments on it. It's a lot of fun. And it's a useful circuit just on its own. So that's why I like having it as a pedal as well, if I'm not playing it on a fuzz guitar.
That's cool. I like that. Yeah. I'd like to hear the pedal, actually.
It's super cool. The artwork is a lot of fun too. So anyway, you'll have to check it out. It's a trip.
Nice.
Number 3 would be, and this is a new one. It's the Walrus. Was it ARP 87? So it's a delay with it's got 4 different types of delay on it. So you got your digital, your analog, your lo-fi, and a slapback. In for my purposes, I really like the lo-fi. I probably switch back and forth between the analog and the lo-fi delay, but it's got this cool little modulation effect. It's got the tap tempo, and you know, for like what I was saying before, it's easy to navigate. It's easy to use. It does, you know, exactly what I'm looking for, and I really enjoy it. And it looks cool too.
It is a cool looking pedal, and it's got a lot of knobs, which is fun.
Right. The other ones I just kind of leave them alone because, you know, I'll get lost. But yeah, you know, for the switches, and you know, it's very useful.
Yeah. Cool.
And then the last one would actually be probably the first pedal that I bought for myself a long time ago, and then I didn't really buy any more just because it was great. But it's the Dan Electro Dan Echo. So
Getting
even
a
though
big nod from Tony on this one.
Yeah, that's a fun pedal.
Cool. Right. So even though the ARP does a slap back, I like to use the ARP for, you know, like longer trailing kind of delays, because it's got the tempo on it. But having the Dan Echo as a slap back, it's got that kind of a tape delay slap back. It's so much fun. And, you know, so there's a nostalgia thing because I've had it forever. It's a gigantic, you know, heavy.
Yeah, it's about,
Wait,
not about that big.
Is this the it's turquoise colored one?
It's like a lavender, kind of a light purple.
Okay.
Yeah, they made it look kind of like an Echoplex.
It doesn't look that big. I'm looking at at a picture of two. One is the Dan Electro Real Echo, which is an actual
huge.
tape.
Oh yeah,
know?
yeah. No, this is a non-tape version.
Yeah, so this is it is lavender, but it doesn't look big. And those pedals are usually pretty small, so I'm very confused right now.
It's not, I mean, I shouldn't say it's like super huge, but it just compared to what we're used to with the standard like rectangular enclosures that fit next to each other.
It's at least a double box.
Okay.
It's got like an odd footprint. And
Yeah.
So this was probably before the days of the big pedal boards and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And, I mean, this is when I was just getting into, so all I had was that. I would just plug that into my my Blues Junior, and I was happy. So yeah, that would be my 4 on the floor.
Nice.
Here it is.
That's a colorful board. I don't necessarily mean visually, but it's just a lot of
the Dano
and
pedal
visual.
is visually.
Yeah, you got an orange pedal,
colorful.
a purple pedal, a black pedal, and a what is it? White? Wait. Anyways, it matters not. That's a good board. I support that
what
board.
color would it be if you took all the colors and mixed them all
Brown.
together?
Great.
Dark muddy black. Okay, cool. Well, thanks for sharing that with us, man.
Sure.
Let's talk right now about why the heck you're on the show.
Yeah.
Your guitars obviously caught our eyes, so we said, let's check this stuff out. That's why you're here, and
Cool.
You make good stuff from everything I understand. In all transparency, I have not actually played your guitars.
That's fair.
And you know, I don't know how many about do you do a year, you think?
I average about 5 to 6.
Yeah. So that's probably why.
Yeah.
Just send one here real quick.
Yeah, no, don't do that. It'll get messed up in the mail, and then Jared can't pay for it. So,
Buddy.
but yeah, I mean, we really were taken by your. You said that, you know, simple is a big thing with you, and
Right.
I think you obviously have that carries over in your design. So we would just want to hear a little bit about how you got started. We don't need to go into like, you know, I was born and you know, don't have to go that far. But just tell me real quick, the first time you heard or you got kind of hooked on like, oh, that's a guitar sound. Well, do you remember what that was?
Yeah, actually, as a child during the early 80s, guitars were bright colored. They were pointy. You know, they were these cool, like space age weapon looking, you know, things. And the music videos and the fog machines, you know, the electric guitar was just so darn cool. I mean, it's always been cool, but you know, in that era for me, it was fascinating. And for whatever reason, there was this one obscure store in this local mall, and it must have been a consignment store or a pawn shop. I don't know, but I was really young. But I remember whenever we went past it, I'd beg my mom to let me go in there and just look at all the guitars on the walls, and yeah, there was something about it just fascinated me. And at one time, because, you know, I knew I wasn't allowed to touch them, but at one time no one was looking, and I dragged my finger across the strings of one of them, hoping it would just go, like I pictured, and it was just this like sterile, just ring, nothing. And, so that kind of started it. But, I think my fascination of them was really rooted in coming from a very musical family. So my dad's a drummer. My brother he's a guitar player, so he's a little bit older than me. So he got into guitar first when he was in like junior high or so. So that was part of our family, was playing music and just enjoying music. My parents took us to lots of concerts, and so that was our thing. And so my dad has guitars too. My brother has guitars, and changing strings, doing that kind of stuff was really fun for me. It was kind of a chore to them, I guess, but I really enjoyed the maintenance and the process. And, I've done a few little things like placing the tuners on one of them and all that. So by the time I hit college, I was studying art. And, I was really into music and all this kind of stuff. And there was this one moment in a class where we had to talk about like our artist statement, and of course I hadn't prepared for any of this at all. I was just winging it. And the moment hit me, like right before I had to go up and, present to the class my, my vision as an artist, I just said, I just build guitars. I like art. I like music. And why not? And so I told the whole class that was what I was going to do. And the response was really positive. People, thought that was kind of cool. And so coming out of that class that day, I was like, well, okay, maybe that's something worth checking out.
So you did it for the girls.
Not so much. I mean, at the time, I was dating who's now my wife, and so I had a full-time job. I knew that as soon as I was done with school, I wanted to get married. So that was kind of a delay. Like we were just kind of getting set up that way. So for those years in between, I was doing a lot of research on how guitars were made, and trying to kind of plan my next steps. We didn't have a lot of space, didn't have really the money to work with, so I was just forced to kind of dream about it for a while. And so fast forward, I started with a parts caster, that I just assembled. It was a Strat that I assembled from modular pieces, which I think is a testament to the design of a Stratocaster. All the hardware, the body, the neck, they all came from different places, and quite honestly, it all came together, and it's a very playable instrument. I still have it, and it's a fun guitar to play.
Best design in the world.
That's
There's something to be said for that, and being a design student, you learn to appreciate these things.
You were a design student?
Right. Yeah. Graphic design.
Too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right.
So we actually have kind of a freaky amount in common so far. We're both on the internet right now. We both went to art school. We're both into music. We're both from Orange County. Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
now you're finishing each other's sentences.
Maybe twins separated at birth.
Yeah. So where's my guitar? Okay. So let me ask you this. You were talking about seeing those early guitars and stuff. What were the first, I guess, attractions, maybe brand wise or model wise? I know you just mentioned the Strat, but the brand wise, like what was kind of like really pulling you in at that time?
Well, yeah, I mean, my exposure was really to what we call especially the boutique builders, what we refer to like the big three, So
Sure.
like getting the catalogs and the guitar magazines, everything was about Gibson and Fender, Paul Reed Smith at the time. And what happened, like because I'm actually a drummer, because my dad's a drummer, so I grew up playing the drums. My brother was so good at guitar that it pushed me into playing the drums. So I was fascinated with guitars, but I played the drums. But once I started playing guitar, because it's a lot more portable than a drum set, I really got into like guys like Brian Setzer. So his like Gretsch, like that hollow body, oh man, that was, just a beautiful, design like that really intrigued me.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So stuff like that. Also, I got into, like I was saying with the pedals, instrumental surf. So kind of seeing some of the, you see more of the Fender catalog there. So those were the types of guitars that really caught my eye. And I think kind of, like you were talking about. Like that's what I gravitated towards.
So the George Lynch Tiger model. That's
Well, that's the thing is, having an appreciation of those. And I knew what BC Rich were and,
Sure.
the Kramers at the time, I thought those were cool. But like the type of music that my brother was into was a lot more of the technical, really fast kind of stuff. And my direction ended up being more like rockabilly, instrumental surf, and then like sloppy blues, and so those were the guitars that I was more drawn to. But like I said, I still appreciated all of them.
Yeah. Floppy Blues, that's half of Tony's middle name.
That's my new band
And the
name.
other one ain't blues, let me tell you. Okay, great. Now you got your influences. You are starting down the guitar path.
Right.
How did you develop into the quality that you are doing now?
Well, like I said, it started with parts casters and the curiosity. Like my first guitar, part of me was hoping that I would fail just so that I could get it out of my head and be like, okay, I'm done with this. I tried it. It didn't work out. Move on. Try something else. But unfortunately, it worked out, and I was just chomping at the bit to do the next one. And so did another parts caster, another like kind of I did an SG style like Warmoth, build for my dad. And I just wanted more. And each time, you're thinking about taking it up a notch. Like, okay, what's the next step here? Doing the finish myself, doing cutting the body myself. And, so each project was kind of, a matter of, taking on part of the build, like buying the materials instead of buying the prefabricated part. And so once it got to where I was making the necks and slotting the fretboards and, doing all that kind of stuff, building the bodies, doing the finish on like Strat and Tele, and even some like double cutaway Les Paul style builds. That was when I was also getting more like networked and more associated with other guitar builders. And a lot of them encouraged me to kind of start finding my own path, because when it came down to it, there are a lot of people out there. Like, let's take the Telecaster, for example, another great design. There are a lot of people out there making Telecasters, and no criticism to them. They've got it down. Like they're doing a great job. They're beautiful. And there's no need for more of them out there. And so one guy that I was talking to, he actually worked at reverb.com. It was at one of the NAMM shows, and we were just chatting, and he said, so what would you build for yourself then if you could just, make something that you wanted? Mm-hmm. And the first thing I designed was the my Ashford model. So I took a kind of an offset, like a Jazzmaster type of shape, and then just freehand drew on a piece of plexiglass. Like I redrew some of the lines, and I took some cues from like the like a 335 and like some Gibson lines, some Fender lines, and I knew that I wanted
a beautiful guitar, man. By
yeah,
the
that
way.
kind of caught my eye as well when I was searching through your products.
Yeah, so I wanted an offset waist, but I didn't want the back end to be offset because I wanted to try with a tailpiece and stuff. So, kind of redrawing the lines and all that. And it became this really fun build, the first one, because it was very organic. Like I deliberately didn't use templates for too much of it. I tried to freehand like route a lot of the stuff. For a long time, I called it the freehand guitar before I came up with the names. And so that was getting some attention, some really good feedback. Some of the other builders that I talked to, they gave me, they recognized it and gave me some encouragement. And from there, I kind of decided, well, 3 is good. 3 is like a nice solid, keep your menu, like, Todd, you're from, Southern California, the whole in and out thing. It's like,
right.
There are 3 things on the menu. Essentially, there's a whole hidden menu, but really when it comes down to it, there's beauty in the simplicity of your options.
So I want the Ashford animal style. That's what we're talking about.
There you go. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's a matter of, focusing it down, because also as a custom builder, you get kind of all crazy requests. People like, oh, I want to be like this color and this shape, and I want you to recreate this. And it's hard to turn that down if you don't have like some set principles. And like, well, here's where I'm coming from.
Right.
So that was when I developed the other shapes, specifically, to kind of fit different categories. So that's the Rayburn was kind of taken from what I liked about the Telly or like the Epiphone Wilshire, like some of these kind of themes, like visual themes. And also my belief is that, we're conditioned to really appreciate a lot of these, familiar lines.
Yeah.
So it was a matter of trying to come up with like a nice, no neck angle plank style, like, something that could fit in a Telly case type of guitar that's got, base model is like a single pickup, like just real stripped down and simplified. That's what the Rayburn is supposed to be. And then the one in the middle is the Devera. And so for that, I really wanted to kind of fuse what I loved about like, surf guitars and blues guitars and stuff. So that's got that offset shape. I
believe it's pronounced the Devera.
Yeah.
I love doing that to me. Please go on.
Just like
sorry,
you said.
I'm a doofus. Sorry.
So anyway, that's the one that like is great with a Bigsby and
that's actually kind of a longer body guitar,
right.
from what it looks like in the images that I've seen too.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The intent was really to kind of bridge the gap between the Rayburn and then the Ashford being like the semi-hollow, like, that one is the most involved in terms of build standpoint. So the Devera was intended to sit in the middle visually, but also just the way that it's constructed.
Cool. In terms of finishes, what kind of, what are you using a lacquer or are you using poly or?
Right. At the moment, I'm doing lacquer. I've been experimenting with some water-based lacquer. I've had mixed results with that, but I'm trying not to give up on it. I really want to make that work because trying to deal with nitro is, there's a lot that's challenging with it in terms of, just the fumes and the volatility and the cleanup and all that kind of stuff. The problem is it's just such a beautiful finish in the end. So right now, the nitro lacquer is what works. But I'd like to find something that is, water-based, easier cleanup, less toxic, and all that.
Are you using the old school lacquer or the newer lacquer with the plasticizer and all that kind of thing?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's right now I'm using Balin's nitrocellulose lacquer. I'm not sure how. It's probably not that old school. It's the stuff that you order nowadays.
Yeah, it's what's available. Some of the older stuff, of course, was a lot more volatile.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could do different things with it. Yeah. But I have a lot of companies that I work with, small builders, and a lot of them have switched over to various poly finishes that they're starting to. I think poly has come a long way since the old days of
basically
dipping your guitar in the tank and
right.
plastic coating it.
Like Doug Cower, he's been a good friend in the industry, and he's helped me out a lot as like a mentor. He does these really great it's like UV cured finishes in their poly, so it goes on really thin. It's not quite like that super chunky plastic look, but it's a very durable, very beautiful finish. But he's set up for that. He's got the booth and the UV oven or whatever they call it. It's just there's a lot that goes to that process, and
more
so
efficient, I imagine, on a turnaround too. If you're
once
UV,
a poly finish sets up, you basically take it into sanding
really
and buffing, and you're done.
Yeah.
So the challenge has been like, making it available to my customers, giving them the option. Quite honestly, almost everybody asks for the nitro finish. I've been trying to push like, hey, would you like me to? We can go poly on this. We can go nitro, and so far everybody's asked for the nitro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems to, I don't think that's unusual, because I think a lot of people, whether it's in their heads that, it's got to have a nitro finish or whatever. I prefer nitro finish.
Well, the wood has to breathe, man. Come on. The wood has to breathe. You can't suffocate the wood.
Plastic.
Right.
As far as your builds go, I'm curious. Your first one was the Ashford, which that's a pretty ambitious design. Yeah. It looks the beauty of it, in my opinion, and here's where we're gonna do our Wonder Twin Powers connecting on design, is that it doesn't look complicated, but
Cool.
that's a carved top, the hollow, semi-hollow. That ain't easy.
Right. And it's not quite as involved as like a traditional arch top, with the steam bent sides and the kerfing and all of that. The body of it was really taken as a solid, piece of mahogany that I kind of hollowed out the sides, but I left the center solid. And then I took a maple top and carved the top of it. And then I figured, well, might as well carve the underside as well to match the top contour. And so when I got it put together the first time, I thought, well, the back is still flat, but the top is curved. I might as well, carve out the back as well. So that was it was one of those things that was kind of evolving as I was building it. Like I said, the process was really pretty organic. I mean, for every build that I've done, other than that, I usually do like a mock-up in Photoshop and get a clear picture of exactly, as close as I can get, exactly how the thing is going to look when it's done. Whereas this one, I didn't have any of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's piano black. So.
Right. And that's a throwback to like the Gretsch, like, one of the first ones I did, it's the one on my website. It was that black top with the natural mahogany back and sides with the cream binding.
Yeah,
like
it's gorgeous.
The old Duo Jets, like those are so, someday I'll own one. But until then, I've got that Ashford.
Yeah. As far as your headstock, I know that is something that a lot of luthiers really struggle with.
Yeah, definitely.
An ownable headstock is really what you end up owning. That's your trademark for the most part. So walk us through that.
Sure.
Exercise.
No, you're absolutely right. And it's one of those things that it very much identifies the guitar. Even if you can't read the name on the headstock, you're going to know it by the silhouette. So for a long time, I'd experimented with some 6-in-line headstocks, but I couldn't get past, the stuff that I liked had already been done. And the hard part is you move some lines, you change the points around, and it's like you think you got something original, and sure enough, you see someone has already done it. So the hard part was not like deliberately copying someone else. It was unintentionally copying someone else. Like it was really challenging, just for me at least. Whereas the 3x3 thing, that shape was just, one of several little things I was sketching out, and I liked it on paper. And so I started working with it and started getting some good feedback. So that kind of became the thing. And all three of them are slightly different. When I do a Rayburn, it's a little narrower version of that, up to the Ashford, which is bigger and wider to kind of match the larger body style. But yeah, going forward, that's the headstock that I'm using on all of them.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. That's it's a very simple design, and I love the painted back too. I'm a fan of that.
Thanks.
The old Stinger look.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Nice detail with that going right down the neck too. Very classy.
Yeah, one of my most prized guitars was a gift. It's a Gretsch Tennessee Rose, and on the neck, it's got that laminated center stripe in there. So when I started doing necks and talking to other builders, they were talking about the benefits of laminating it, the neck, because I had been doing some like one-piece necks. I do a scarf joint for the headstock, but as far as like laterally down the neck, like laminating two pieces together, and I thought, well, while I'm at it, I might as well put this nice black veneer between there and have this great pinstripe. And there's a benefit to the construction side of it because you've got a center line that is a permanent part of the neck. So when you're trying to align the scarf joint for the headstock, and what I'm talking about there is to get an 11-degree angle for the headstock to tilt back, actually cut that piece off at 11 degrees, flip it around, and glue it back on. Mm-hmm. So to line up those two pieces on both sides, like the front and the back of the neck, also when it meets the body, like making sure that the center line is continuously running through the body on the front and on the back of the guitar. It's a lot easier when you have that on there, or in there, I should say. And then when you're shaping the neck, like there were times where, you draw a center line, but you're taking wood away and you sand it off and it's like redraw the center line. And so it's nice when it's just built in. So, and it looks cool too, I think. So,
yeah.
What kind of hardware do you normally use?
Normally on like the Rayburns, I'm a big fan of this cut telly bridge. So for the most part, I've been using a Wilkinson. It's got brass saddles, and it's nice because you can string it through the top. Again, the Rayburn was all about simplicity, and I've done some kind of telly style builds where it strings through the body, but that's more holes to drill. It's more to like deal with when you're doing the finish on the back because you got the ferrules, to account for.
Right.
So on that one, I really wanted the back to just be nothing. There's no plate, it's just where the screws mount for the neck. So I had also taken a tour at one point through the Finner Custom Shop, and one of the builders there was telling me how much he prefers the string through the top because of tonal properties and all that. In my case, it's more convenience. So that bridge I really prefer.
I think there's an argument as equally heated with the string through body as to tone wood. There are those arguments out there that are just like, okay, top three: tone wood, string through body, and capacitors.
Yep.
All completely
I
negligible.
Had neck joint to that too.
Yeah.
True.
How about as far as tuning machines and things like that? What do you
I
like?
was going to ask that.
Oh,
Go ahead and ask it, Jared.
Go ahead, Jared.
What about the tuners?
For the fixed bridge, I really like the look of the Clouson, kind of the vintage like oval style knob. Yeah. The headstock, it goes well with. I've done some Grover shapes. Also the kind of the Gibson style, like the tulips, look really cool with it.
Yeah, the pearloid tulips. Yeah.
Right. So if it's got a Bigsby on it, I like to do locking tuners if I can. So I try to get the vintage looking locking style tuners.
The kind that they you feed the string through the hole on the stem or whatever you call that, and then when you start to tune, there's like an inner shaft that pinches that string right there, right? That just locks it.
Correct.
Yeah.
So like the aesthetic, I still want to keep to some of the classic forms, and if it's got some modern function, that's great. But if the function can exist like at a more hidden level, that makes me real happy.
Yeah, when I first saw those, I was impressed how hidden that function actually was.
I don't like them. I'll just say it. I don't like them.
Do you like them?
I hate locking tuners.
You just hate locking tuners?
I hate them.
I've taken them off 2 guitars, but only because I'm at my familiar. They were gigging guitars. I'm like, I know it in theory. That's stupid because it makes more sense for gigging guitar.
Really, for a string change, yeah,
it does. I understand that, but I was also like, look, if I'm futzing around with this on stage, I don't even want to deal with it.
I've always had better luck with locking tuners, I guess. I don't know.
I wouldn't. I would probably actually, in retrospect, I would consider putting those on my my telly, the one I use for the Johnny Clash stuff, because I usually end up bringing a second guitar because I'm like I can't change this. I don't because I don't have a guitar tech.
I thought you said you were going to hire me to be a guitar tech.
Hey, give me 7 minutes. I'm going to change this string.
So back to the locking tuners. Because,
let's.
I've stated my case, but do you find with a Bigsby especially that there are some improvements in terms of
What are
tuning?
the advantages?
What are the advantages? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Advantage.
Well, yeah, it's tough. I mean, if it were my own personal thing, I would just leave it as simple as possible. A lot of that stuff is kind of upon request. So like a roller bridge with locking tuners to try to minimize the any sort of friction points or the strings slipping out of tune.
Now I do like the rolling bridge with a Bigsby.
Right.
Roller bridges. I think there is a difference. It's just I don't know. Don't listen to me. I'm just old school. I'm an old guy that likes old Clouzons.
That's another big argument. The a roller versus the little teeny rollers
Yes.
versus
Nut rollers?
the wedges, right? And it's like, oh, you lose all your sustain if you have a roll. It's like,
there are certain things that are like really, really core to me, in my opinion. Like, some things that I wouldn't bend on, like maybe some color combinations or trying to stick to the visual design of things and keeping the function simple. But when it comes to the type of rollers and all, I mean, I'll make some recommendations, but something like that, it's not a hill I want to die on, I guess.
Yeah, if they want
if it's
it,
a matter
do
of,
it then.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
right.
If they pay you the money.
Well, and the last thing I want to do is have somebody, contact me after getting their guitar saying it just won't stay in tune, So it's like,
Right.
there's the side of it, like trying to remove any variables of it happening. So if I can put my mind at ease and their mind at ease with a roller bridge and some locking tuners, it's okay as far as
Right.
I'm concerned.
What's your favorite part of the build?
Ooh, good question. The like carving, like the woodwork carving, like getting in there with a rasp or a spoke shave and really just, scooping away, strips of wood.
Cool. What's your least favorite?
Oh, right now it's definitely the finishing.
It's the tuners.
It is.
Locking tuners.
Especially this, because one of the guitars I'm working on is white, and my shop is it's based in my home, so I don't have like the formal setup, and any random stray bit of dust, and I built like a booth like for myself, but even still, it's like any random thing that's floating through the air will find its way into that white.
Oh yeah,
finish.
yeah.
And there's just no hiding it. And it feels like not just 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but like 2 steps forward and 1 3/4 steps back. It's like it's the progress just comes to a grinding halt because you got to go chase out some speck of dust with sandpaper, So that's the most infuriating part.
I wanted to get your perspective on one hand, I understand why the desire to do something all yourself. Yeah. I am a victim of that myself. But I know my limitations and where I'm like, hey, look, I can spend 10 hours to do this poorly or mediumly. That's a new word. Or I can get this done real quick, real well. Yeah. My question is, this is something that I hear from a lot of luthiers, which is, I'm doing my own finishing, and this is the biggest hassle of the entire process, and the biggest time suck, and I have to redo it all the time. So from your perspective, what is keeping you from having it finished?
There have been some that I've sent out for sure. Before I was doing these 3 specific shapes, like one guy wanted kind of a Les Paul style, but he wanted like a gold top. And so that went out to a guy that does like automotive finishes, and he did a great job. He'd done guitars too in the past. This wasn't like his first guitar, but so that was great. The problem with that though is it took an extra like 3 months just for that step in the process. So because it's time off of my queue, it's also time added onto theirs. So it kind of depends on whom I'm sending it to. But in my mind, it's about setting realistic expectations up front, like coming from the kind of the freelance graphic design realm. When a customer and I sort out a guitar, it's treated almost like a design project where there's a proof that gets approved and we sign off on it before it goes into production, and everything's laid out. So as far as the finish goes, for me, I try to present options up front. So this white one, for example, I'm learning if they want white again, I may just insist that goes out. But, we work that into the deal. If the timing and the cost works out to send it out for the finish, then we'll do that. There are finishes that I'm fully confident that I can do really well in my place. I've done a French polish on one guitar that looked really cool. Natural finishes like metallic.
Can you describe a French polish?
Sure. French polish it's a real old world kind of method where you're hand applying shellac, which is a more natural.
That's how they do it with violins.
Like a violin,
right?
yeah.
Right. It comes from a beetle. It's like some secretion from a beetle or something like that. But you apply it like by hand with a rag in these small, tight little figure eights, and you just slowly build up the finish by applying it by hand over and over. But it looks fantastic. I mean, it's really beautiful. And, you talk about a thin finish with a nice luster to it. So there are different options, but it's a matter of setting expectations that, okay, if you want me to do this, it'll take this much time, it'll cost this much. If you want some crazy, like metal flake, cool two-tone, whatever finish, then that's not something that's not something I could do myself. I'd have to send that out. So then we'd have to build that into the like a scope of work type of thing.
Well, you're really fortunate that you have some really good finishers out in California.
Oh yeah, I mean there's loads of them.
Yeah, they can do that kind of work for you. Here in Ohio, not so much.
The entire city of Anaheim is basically auto painters and finishers.
Right.
and surrounding areas.
Isn't that where Earl Scheib is from?
No, that's not knocking it. I'm from there. I can say that.
I will say that the some of the best guitar finishers that I know have their roots in painting cars.
Yeah,
I mean that's without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy I have work done for me, he matches paint that people want through car colors, and he uses car colors. So he has a few auto shops on call. So I think a lot of good finishers have relationships with auto shops.
Well, that's how we got a lot of the colors like Pelham Blue and Shoreline Gold. Those were all automotive colors back in the day.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So moving forward, so you've got this down to, how many years have you been, I guess, solidly doing this?
The last maybe 2 years is when I really developed like the Equitz Guitars brand. I did the 3 designs and, went forward with that more full force. It's not a full-time job at this point, but that was when I really locked in. But I had been building the parts casters and all that for several years before that.
Are you seeing evolution in your future? Asking the 8 ball.
In terms of what, like?
Just what, like, are you gonna stay with this, or are you gonna evolve your designs or get new ones, or? Sure.
Yeah, there are a few designs that I'm sitting on. I just don't want to get too far ahead of things right now. Sure. The pace right now is very nice. Once I'm done with this batch, there's another batch ahead of it, and I've kind of closed the orders, so to speak, until that batch is done. That was something that I learned kind of the hard way. Instead of working on them all like longitudinally, it was to batch them together in groups. So when somebody inquires, if they need to wait, I have to ask them to, this is great. Let's work on the design. Let's get the concept together, and then I'll start on it as soon as I'm done with this batch that I'm at now.
Right.
So in terms of evolution, like it would be great to scale up, like the yield, like to be able to do more per batch, but not so much that, anything has to suffer or that they take longer because I'm doing, 5 at a time instead of 3 or 4. So yeah, in that sense, it's a matter of like, I guess, like slow and steady, progress. But I'm not trying to really hit the gas and go super crazy. Right. There's a base prototype that I'm working on right now that's based off of the Devera model. So I've got it kind of worked out. Like that one is almost into the finishing process, but it's not necessarily part of this batch that I'm working on. So there are little kind of pet projects that I fit into the cracks. There's some other ideas that I've got kind of simmering around with some other folks for like, baritone, bass 6, some other formats that it would be great to get into. But from like a brand perspective, I'm really just trying to build some familiarity with what I have at the moment and really kind of lock in and focus on that.
That Devera really lends itself to a bass. Just I can totally 100% see that body as a bass.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really excited. The prototype is really proof of concept for the guy that I've been working with. That he wanted a pretty elaborate bass, and so we settled on a more simplified model. And he was like, "Well, I'd like to see it and try it first." And I said, "Yeah, so would I." So building that out, looking forward to be done with that. I'm really gonna have fun with that bass, I think.
That's cool. That's cool. Okay, so here's the maybe the funnest question you get to answer. You've got a couple of your guitars, and you got to get them in the hands of anybody that you want to play them. Who are they?
That's a good question. Because being close to the NAMM show, it's something I've been fortunate to attend for several years now. And you see a lot of the same people walk around, and some of them I've talked to, like, "Hey, I build guitars," and they're like, "Oh, cool." But some other big company is paying them a fortune or probably throwing free guitars at them. So when you talk about like, somebody famous, that's actually less appealing to me. Because in my mind, I'd want someone who believes in what I'm doing enough to like actually pay for one, Like,
Oh yeah, let's say they did pay for it.
Right, exactly. So there's
take that out of the equation. Sorry.
right.
They will be paying.
There are a lot of people
retail price.
There are a lot of people that I talk to that, if you could just get some famous person to play them, it would be this and that. And it's like, yeah, that's not really what I'm interested in. So they're like, some studio musicians or things like that would be great. We just my wife and I went to a concert. We saw he's a singer-songwriter, real bluesy, rootsy kind of style. His name is Patrick Sweeney. I've been following his music for a long time. I really enjoy it. And so watching him play, I was standing there going, oh man, if I could put one of my guitars in his hands, like, the type of music he's singing and playing, just kind of, it's like you got that itch in your ear that like only someone will scratch it the right way. And that, his style was really in line with, what I enjoy. So
Which model?
That's a good question. An Ashford or a Rayburn, because he was playing some Tellys, and he also had one of those offset Strats with the kind of the Jazzmaster pickups and the F-hole. So I could picture him rocking a Rayburn or an Ashford.
I mean, would you be excited if Jimmy Page called you on the phone?
He's wearing a Jimmy
said,
Page shirt.
"Hello, love.
There
Would you
are
send
other
over one
guitar
of those
players
lovely
besides
guitars?
Jimmy
I want an
Page.
Ashford.
I'd like an Ashford and something in black."
That's right. And gold hardware. How would you
Of
feel?
course.
He just told us.
But Jimmy
Of course.
Page.
Well, what it comes down to is, it's like for the hours that it takes, to build one of these, and same with you, your pickups and your pick guards and stuff. Like, you want the thing to be played, you want it to be enjoyed, you want it to hopefully be handed down to the next generation. So yeah, if any of these people were going to genuinely play and enjoy the guitar, of course, I'd love to put it in their hands. But if it was a matter of like, somebody wanted it for their wall and, or it's going to like hide out in a case somewhere, like, that would be, as that's where I guess more of the artist side comes into it. It's like, no, you want this thing to be played and enjoyed. And that's what's crazy about guitars is it's an art form for the people who build them, but you're handing it over to another artist. And what they do with the art that you made is part of their art, and you just want it to kind of go forward that way. Like, for example, my brother, he's a really, really good guitar player. And growing up, it was like, man, why can't I play like he does? But watching him play like he does on a guitar that I built for him feels better than being able to play like he does. Yeah. It's kind of like finding your space. And it's like, okay, so maybe I'm not intended to be the world's best guitar player, but if I could make a tool for the other great guitar players, then that is like super fulfilling.
That's really well put. Because
if Jimmy Page, wanted to play one, yeah, of course.
Would you consider a guitar with opposing necks for Michelangelo?
Oh my gosh! I can't believe you uttered that name on the show.
No, that was really well put, and I get the same feeling if I sell my product to somebody and see the result of that with my eyes live. That's the ultimate satisfaction.
Right.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, thank you so much for sharing, your world with us.
Of course.
Every time I see a guitar that interests me or that is like some new thing, there is a huge part of me that's going like, please just let's build one. Please just let's build one. And then I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to let other people do that, and I'm going to appreciate the hell out of them. That's what I'm going to do.
Yes.
So, all right. Excellent. Knocked that one out of the park. Thanks, buddy. I think we have something to say.
Yeah. So, would you rather?
You almost forgot to do it.
No.
You did.
You always say, and now it's time for.
Right. I threw you off.
Yeah, I like it.
All right.
That's what I've been waiting for.
I like the "so" introduction. That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this week's Would You Rather? Would you rather have?
That's 4. Wait, no, it's would you rather.
But would you rather? I can't say it without saying it.
Okay.
Would you want Keith's? I said want that time.
Okay.
Okay, Keith's Telecaster with the big E's missing, right?
The natural.
Yeah.
Or-
the 5-string.
Or would you rather have his
Macabre.
Junior?
The TV Yellow Junior.
Oh yeah. Which one are you taking? And he has one in one hand, one in the other. He says one or the other, dude. Which one are you taking?
Do I go first? Was that?
No, you take a break. Get some water. You know, rest your chords.
Listen to me
Tony.
stumble my words.
Macabre. I take Macabre.
The macabre.
What's what?
That's his Telecaster.
Okay, yeah. I'm just clarifying.
I would take that. That, to me, even more so than the Les Paul Jr. is, I mean, plain and simple. I mean, every time that I have seen the Rolling Stones, it's been a Telecaster of some sort.
Right.
And to me, so that's it. I'm taking that one.
I like the video where the guy runs up on stage and then he takes the telly off. Maybe that's the
is
one with
so
the missing
fantastic.
Easter.
That could be. Well, no, there is. He does play a 5-string.
Yeah, a lot of them. He sets them up like that. I mean,
Yeah,
that's his
because
thing.
he finds the low E irrelevant. Apparently,
Yeah. Anyways, okay. Thanks, Tony.
that's the one I want.
All right,
I'm
Jared?
sticking to it.
Well, that's tough.
Kevin.
I go with the Junior.
You go with the Junior.
Yeah, there was one moment I had at a Guitar Center one time where it was TV Yellow. It was one of those Juniors, and it was so simple, the one pickup and everything, and it just clicked, man. It just seemed like it was pulling better playing out of me, like stuff I normally struggle with. It was like just happening on this one, and it felt fantastic. And I wasn't able to buy it at the time, and I missed it. So yeah, I think, and that's kind of like some of the builds I don't do anymore. So yeah, that style, that shape that's part of that simplicity. I'd
It's
go that route.
reminiscent of one of your designs too. I mean, it seems like.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, can I go now?
Yeah.
All right. Now, it's tough because I'm going to give the Junior credit because I like the neck profiles on those 50s Juniors. However, I am going to take the telly and I'm going to fix the low E on it. I'm going to have it fixed.
Sacrilege, man. Why you
Dude,
can't?
just
Do
do
you
it.
know a place that could do that kind of work?
Nobody would.
I think up
Right.
in Akron,
Nobody
Ohio,
would. They'd kick you straight out of the store.
Lay's Guitar Repair.
Oh my gosh.
No, Dan wouldn't do it. He'd say, "Are you nuts?" Don't
Seriously,
touch it. Don't touch it.
I'm collecting. I'm going to start collecting.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you, Todd? What do you think?
Yeah. what
Which would
you
you
See,
take?
okay, it's hard because I really love, as Kevin was saying, the simplicity of it, of the Junior. I really do. I am more a fan of the cutaway, the double cut. And I love playing my telly, and I love playing it like a 2x4. It's a blunt, and I play it like a blunt instrument. And I feel like he does too. He's got a little bit of extra. He's his own finesse that he puts on it, but he plays in a primal way, and I love that. And so I gotta go with the telly for sure.
All right.
Yeah. And
Primal.
he'll use it as a baseball bat to keep people.
Yeah,
off
don't go.
stage.
Yeah.
Do not approach Keith on stage.
All righty. Well, we made it through, everybody. I mean, we didn't make it through everybody, but we made it through, comma. Punctuation is everything, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, exactly. Don't forget your commas.
I just need to call out a few people who have been helping us out quite a bit.
Get their name right on.
Yep, our executive producers, Tom Barazin, Martin Cliff, David Wolfson, Matt Brammer, Carlos Mancha, Pete Marshall, Derek Fitzer, and Robin Smith. Thank you guys so much for your support.
Thank you.
It means a lot to us. And if you would like to become an executive producer and
Get your name right on the thing.
head over to patreon.com/the Guitar Knobs and find out how. So, thank you so much, Kevin. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your artistic vision and your effort and the passion that you put into your product. And hopefully we'll cross one. We'll maybe get to pick one of those up someday.
Where can we find them at, Kev?
Well, right now I'm just dealing direct, and but like I mentioned, my friend Co Schneider, he's put together this cool road show. He lives in the San Diego area, and it's called the One Day Show because within a 1 day's drive radius of San Diego, he loads up a van with all kinds of boutique guitars and effects and all that kind of stuff, and drives out to some like predetermined like rehearsal studios he's done. It just kind of sets up like a pop-up boutique. So usually I have at least one or two of my guitars with him. I had a few out at the NAMM show in another booth, just kind of as demo guitars. So we'll see if I can line that up again this year. Are you guys coming out to NAMM?
I may be going out in January.
Maybe.
I will not. But
Okay.
Hopefully we're going to try to get out to the Nashville one.
What's your website?
Yeehaw.
My website is equitzguitars.com.
Where can they find you socially?
Socially is at Equitz Guitars, EQUITZ.
Cool.
Excellent. All righty. Hey, fellas, where can we find you guys?
Well, if you guys need some pickup work done or a custom set of pickups, find me at BrandonWoundPickups.com. Common spelling. Email Jared.
What does that mean? Common spelling.
BRANDONWOUND.
We're not at Oxford, bro.
PICKUPS.
Rounded wounds?
.com.
All right. Excellent. And you're on your reverb shop, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Brandon Wound Pickups on Reverb.
Yeah, we're gonna bolster that a little bit, aren't we? We're gonna get some more pickups up there.
Yep.
And Tony?
Thursdays or Fridays, I'm usually here. Our Knobs episode. So you
Yes.
can find me here.
You can find you here. Excellent.
if you physically want to find me.
At the Guitar Knobs.
But if you would like to, you can visit my website, hickguardian.com. Socially, hickguardian1 on both Instagram, Facebook.
My gosh.
That's the
This is
Italian
like-
pronunciation.
Yeah.
Facebook.
Anyways, and hey, everybody, you know where to find us, the Guitar Knobs, on all the socials and everything. And if you don't, go to theguitarknobs.com and find out how. Or just go there anyway, because there's stuff. And go to our Instagram and go to our Facebook group. Please go on there and share your guitar stuff. We love seeing new stuff and asking questions, and we like the word stuff. Subscribe!
Yeah.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.